at the 25th anniversary. We think it might be Steam ports. That's what we're thinking.
Oh, right.
Because unless they've got something under deep wraps,
right.
We don't know what else it could be.
Boop, 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 boop. All right, we should be live. All right. Everybody ready to get started?
Yep.
Yes.
Be some success.
Yeah, get situated here.
I'm gonna have a hard enough time keeping focused. My brain is
I'm having
a sketch.
Yeah, I'm having.
You guys will tell me something, and I will. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Need to turn you guys up in my headset. Is what I need to do.
Don't worry, I only have one game that I really want to talk about, and then the other one's just like whatever.
Go through. Yeah.
So.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
And Mina.
Hi.
I've been podcasting for about 2.5 weeks, so I had a real hard time with that intro. Let's get started, Musum, with what you've been playing this past month.
Okay, so first game I'm going to talk about is Cyberpunk.
Yes.
I did like it, but let me put 2 fat disclaimers before I start talking about it.
Okay.
One of them, I won't get into it, but we had a loss in our family in November that has kind of thoroughly affected my entire life, so that's gonna affect my viewpoint. The other is my views on Cyberpunk aren't Boston's or Mina's. They aren't E1M1 networks as a whole.
Right.
They're only my own. I don't think I'm gonna say anything crazy on here, other than I like some criticism. So like, don't think I'm gonna suddenly try to pin it as like the greatest game ever. But this is just people seem to feel strongly about this game, and I just don't want them to think that I'm gonna be a avatar for their anger.
Oh, sure. So like, if you don't, this is a general rule for everyone on the internet. If you don't agree with someone's opinion, just tamp it down. You don't need to let anyone know. Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Man, I need help with that on my social media.
Well, it's okay to say like, "Oh man, I wish more people liked Cyberpunk. I'm really having fun with it." But it's not okay to at someone and be like, "I hope you die." It's like that's far too far. So
I figured I'd start out just by talking about a lot of the different aspects. Like, so my expectations in going into Cyberpunk that I was gonna get a Deus Ex Skyrim game. Like, effectively a big open world with a bunch of Deus Ex mechanics in it.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, it is not that. It is functionally, I think, closer to Ubisoft open world or like something else. Like it's
like a
basically
non-GTA open world.
Yeah, like you have sections of the city, and each section has a bunch of like odd robberies that can happen in it, but they'll also have like little side jobs for that don't really have any story. It's just, there's some gangs busting up this place, so go help the corrupt cops take out the gangs busting up the place.
Sort of like the more recent Spider-Man games, the PS4, PS5 ones.
Man, I haven't played a ton of it, but I bet so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It sounds pretty similar, yeah.
Honestly, that's probably a really good comparison. Like, I've only played probably like 5 hours of that game, of the Spider-Man PS4. But, like, city-wise, that's probably accurate. Because when you're in the city, it feels like it should have, like, the level of side activities that a Skyrim or GTA would have. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't. Now, I've only put probably a dozen playtime hours into it. And the game is about a 7-hour intro.
Oh, wow.
Which is long, but so far that intro, I thought the intro was amazing. Like, I was pretty blown away by how good it was, because they kind of, you choose, like when you start the game, you choose 3 backgrounds, which gives you some different dialogue options throughout the game. I don't think it changed the way V talks. He kind of talks like he's from the Bronx or Jersey or something like that. But like you can choose corpo, so you'd be like a corporate whatever worker, and I had a friend who ran that one, and he said like one of the numbers in your phone is your psychiatrist that you could just call. I don't know. And then they have Street Kid, and then they have I can't remember what the last one's called, but it's basically like you live outside the city as like a Mad Max type. So I chose the Street Kid. Like that seemed like it would probably be fun since the majority of the game will be in Night City. And so you kind of go through like a quick Street Kid intro, and then there's like a set event that happens where you meet your partner in crime for the time being, and then they do this cool like sliced up cutscene thing of you and that dude kind of becoming friends and having drinks and pulling heists and things. And then it goes off into the intro mission, which I think is for the most part done really well. Like the game itself, like it does have like some Deus Ex style mechanics in it. I think the hacking in the game is probably closer to Deus Ex than like Watch Dogs, whereas Watch Dogs, you can say there's a droid flying in the air. I'm going to take it over, then fly that droid into this base and do X, Y, and Z with it. Like,
right.
Or at least that was
in Watch Dogs, it's largely like one button. It's like hack this thing, move over here, hack this thing. Like, there's not a lot going on. As much as I enjoy those games.
Well, and I don't know that there's a lot going on with hacking in this either. It's just in a different direction. So, and they do some, like, I think both franchises do some cool things with the idea. So, like, in this one, you have, like, you have hardware in your head that determines how many RAM slots you get. And your RAM number is basically like your spell points for hacking.
Okay.
So you start out with very few of them, and you start out only being able to equip like 2 hacking things. So like if you want to go the hacking route, just new player advice, immediately save up like 25,000, pull some jobs to get your street cred up, because they use your street cred stat to limit what you can buy in the game.
Oh, sure. So it's like your town reputation in some other games. Okay.
Yeah. The more street cred you get, the more people are willing to sell you the really cool stuff. So like right now, I think the unit I have lets me equip like 6 different hacks, and they have like a whole crafting system where you can make hacks. But as far as I can tell, you aren't making custom hacks. You're just making predetermined things. So generally, like, I guess to describe this, I'll say what I do, because I'm running like a hacking character. Is I'll walk into a place, I'll find any electrical device, whether that is a vending machine, a person, or a camera, and I will perform breach protocol on it, which reduces the RAM cost of any hacks I'm going to do on the facility for the next 3 minutes or something like that. Once I do that, I then do the ping hack, which highlights every type of that object in the facility, like in my range.
Nice.
So when I first got the game, doing ping on larger facilities would drop the frame rate to a crawl and occasionally crash it. Within the first week, that luckily stopped happening.
Nice.
Because I fairly quickly went to a large place and was like, I may want to rethink this hacker thing. But now it works. It's pretty smooth. By the way, I'm playing on PS4 Pro.
Okay.
I meant to install it on my regular PS4 for science in this podcast, but like the game's like 70 gigs, and then I gotta have like another 50 gigs free for the initial patch, and
right.
Oh my gosh.
that thing's got a 500 gig hard drive. That's a headache in itself. That's a lot of, and on top of that, like I already almost maxed out my freaking data cap last month, so.
Oh, right.
But on PS4 Pro, for the most part, like you're looking at 30-second load times, which is really just to get into the game and, when you die. But other than that, it works fairly smooth. I don't get too many frame rate drops. I was getting about a crash, probably about an average of every 2 hours, which I don't. I guess it's hard for me, like, with the crash stuff, because like Watch Dogs Legion, like I was playing that when it came out in November, and it was really the same situation.
That game launched in a very bad spot too.
Yeah, like I guess I just have really like low expectations of this. Like maybe I'm just pleasantly surprised when a game just works. But
Well, a lot of open world RPGs always have these problems. Witcher 3 had it on launch, like Skyrim had it on launch. Like they're all kind of have these issues on launch, and then they get smoothed out over time.
yeah, and probably the worst one was one I bought off the shelf back in the day, which was, and granted, this was 25 years ago, and absolutely is no bearing on whether you should be mad or not at Cyberpunk for being glitched, but like Daggerfall, Elder Scrolls Arena or Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, like that was a game that was for the most part procedurally generated. And to advance the main quest in like 5 or 6 spots, you had to receive a letter in that game. And it was extremely common glitch to not receive those letters, or you would go into a dungeon, and because it was procedurally generating these 3D areas in the 90s, the exit would be impossible to reach.
Great.
Like it was, that was pre-download a patch day,
Right, it's like hope the PC Gamer demo floppy, or maybe CD if you got lucky had a patch on it.
Yeah, so I'm with everyone. I want them to work when they come out too.
Right.
I think I just have incredibly low expectations for these things, though, unfortunately. But where was I? Oh, right, the hacking. So then, like further hacks are like you can. I have like 2 hacks I typically use on enemies. One of them will reboot their optics, which will let me sneak up behind them and knock them out. And the other is like supposed to kill them, but as far as I can tell, it just damages them and lets them know where I am. So I don't use it too often. Gosh, what else to say about this game?
There's a lot. Like
yeah. Like it's weird in that like most of the side activities I found don't have stories to them. They're just collect the tarot card images on this wall, or go brawl in a, that's another weird thing. Like Cyberpunk and Watch Dogs Legions, 2 games in my head that are known for hacking. The first side mission you get is someone sending you to go brawl in fighting arenas.
I was surprised about that with Legion, where it's like, all right, here's your first mission, underground fighting. It's like, what?
There was the first week I played that, like Susie kept going like, is all you do is like punch people in this game? Because I kept
apparently.
No, I just keep going to these arenas and losing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Cyberpunk, they give me the option to say no to those requests, and so while it doesn't get rid of it out of your journal, it still is a little satisfying. Because now you read your journal entry and you're like, this bartender wants you to go blah 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 blah, but you can call him if you want. The voice acting for the most part I'm enjoying, but I don't. In my experience, a lot of people come out of a game or a movie and say, man, that voice acting was bad, and I didn't notice it. So I'm maybe immune to those things too. And that may be another 90s thing. Maybe a 90s anime voice acting that has lowered my expectations or acceptance level.
I think I'm in the same boat where it's like, oh, that voice acting was pretty good. And everyone's like, oh, no.
But one of the cooler side quests I found was and it's one I don't get, like in the intro mission, you get into AI cab called Delamain, and later on he has like some escaped cabs where you have to go and find them, and each cab has a different personality, and hijinks ensue, we'll say.
That's fun.
But his quest stuff I think was one of the more entertaining, and it looks like I'm starting to get some of the character side quests into. Like I've noticed a lot of people like Judy, rightfully so. She is probably the best character. It makes me wish I rolled up a female for my V being the main character, because she is gay and I can't romance her.
Oh, okay.
But she has a side quest that I'm going to start looking at. It sounds to be a cool, like, liberate the brothel place from whatever evil gang is trying to take it over. something else that I should mention. Everything is corrupt and bad in this game. Like,
right.
The cops are bad, the gangs are bad, the corporations are bad. Like, there's no like once you accept everyone has like a bit of evil with them, like, just maybe take that like into account anytime you like I'm not necessarily pro help the cops in the game either, but like at a certain point I'm like, well, both sides are bad and I need money, so
right. So pick the least evil and get paid.
yeah. There haven't been a ton of choices well, I say that. I guess there have been a lot of like dialogue choices, and some of them aren't even like presented as choices. It's just, oh, you clicked on the thing and now the person's mad at you because you were just thinking you were asking a question or something.
Oh, right.
It mostly is pretty clear on like where that stuff is. It isn't like highlighted like a dialogue option per se. They have a lot of skill-related dialogue options. All the skills. So you have, I think it's 6 or 7 skills, and each skill has like 1 to 2 skill trees in it. So like the intelligence skill has the quick hack, and I forget another hacking tree. And like they have another skill tree called cool, and that one has stealth and I can't remember. I think critical damage under it or something like that. So I'm mainly concentrating on intelligence and the one with crafting in it, which is going up very slowly. Like they do a cool thing with the equipment where it's kind of in that Diablo-esque Borderlands system where everything's kind of color coded. Maybe not color coded the best in the menu. Like the menus kind of suck in this game, but it is that level of common, uncommon, rare, epic, and then they have iconic weapons which have a name and have notoriety to them. But any of those weapons, you can get crafting parts and upgrade to wherever your current damage level is.
Oh, cool.
So you can continue using them, which I really appreciate. Keanu Reeves is kind of awesome in this game.
Nice.
He's a complete prick. Like, the first couple times you meet him, like you're like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to stand this dude. He's such a freaking jerk.
Right.
But like, the longer he's around, the more it's just clear. Like, oh no, this guy's kind of a angry, washed up rocker that just wants to topple corporation. Like, there's something lovable about him, even though he's completely a prick. And it's probably one of Keanu Reeves' better performances, honestly.
Oh wow, nice.
Or at least I can't think of too many movies I've seen where he's had to put this much range forth, But you don't get Keanu Reeves till basically after the intro, so kind of set your expectations there.
Oh, okay.
And really, you should finish the intro before you mess with the rest of the game anyway. What else to say? There are people who try to sell you cars and vehicles, and I don't know why. I feel like I'm not at a place money-wise in the game where I'm going to want to spend money on something, especially when I keep getting like free vehicles from other stuff.
Oh, sure.
You do have an apartment in the game, but there's not much you can do. Like there's all the mirrors in the game are kind of glitchy. It's like a weird thing where you walk up to the bathroom mirror and you have to press a button to engage it. You can see your character, but most of the time it glitches and you aren't wearing your hat or something like that. Or
right.
Your hair doesn't generate, or I don't know. I don't understand why you have to press a button and why they didn't just do reflective surfaces in the game. And I don't understand the point of even having that interaction with the mirror at the moment. But I should also mention, like, this game is in no way for kids.
Yeah.
It is profanity laden. It is like one of the side missions was like they took the movie 8mm and the movie Strange Days and combined them. I figured it was going to be a while before I saw a romance scene. So for this podcast, I'm blaming you guys. Okay. I went ahead and hired a prostitute, which I immediately regretted for around 5 minutes because that's about how long the freaking cutscene with the prostitute lasts.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Like, it is just shy of like hardcore pornography. Like it is. Like this game like kind of pushes a lot of like I think they were trying like obviously they wanted to make the game edgy, but I think they made the game edgy in a lot of ways that doesn't jive with the story or gameplay or anything else in it. Like which like like a big talk on the everyone's going crazy over the genitalia options for the game.
Right.
Which as far as there's no point in them.
Right.
There's literally no point in them. I guess except for that initial glitch, which sounded very funny that I never got.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, yeah.
Honestly, like the best, I got two really good jank glitches that I really enjoyed. Like one of them was like, so everyone plugs like their little USB memory sticks in the back of their head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I played through this cutscene and then it glitched at the end and crashed and I reloaded it and was going through the cutscene again, except this time it had replaced the chip in the back of this person's head that he was handing me with a gun. So pulled the gun out of his head.
Great.
And then stuck it into my head.
The Persona 3 remake we've been looking for.
Yes. The other janky glitch, which I really should have just opened the PlayStation dialogue and got the video clip of it, was I had just loaded the game. Like I just started it. And I summoned my car and I got in it, and then a car fell from the sky onto my car.
Great.
Which was very surprising. Scared the crap out of me. I got out of the vehicle. I looked around. I'm like, well, there's no other vehicles here, so it's not like someone hit the car and knocked it onto me. Like, the only thing I can guess is that it meant to generate the car where my car was and was too long. Which... maybe that's another technical thing I should mention. This game's pop-in stuff is super weird because it does have a lot of pop-in. Mm-hmm. And you mainly notice it when you're driving around town. And then when you stop, sometimes it has not loaded that area you're in yet. So, like, it may generate, like, this pixely, like, wall or closed door. And then once you wait a minute, it'll disappear and it'll just be, like, an open, like... it'll generate the area that you can now walk into, whereas you couldn't before.
Oh, okay, right.
Like it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't know. My theory is like they probably spent most of the 10 or 8 years or whatever working on this game, developing the engine. Mm-hmm. And like, I know people said, oh, they should have delayed it again, but like if they were gonna delay it again, like they probably should have delayed it for like another couple years, type of thing.
Yeah, like a significant amount of time.
Yeah, just to bring it up to that Skyrim GTA level, which
right.
I mean, those are still glitchy games, but they had more content. But this still has a lot of content. I just don't think it's going to be quality content.
Right.
The game's soundtrack I think is really good. The radio stations, like, I enjoy, but I really, really like the combat music a lot in this game. It's like a Doom 2016 level of, like,
hello,
combat music. Just electronic instead of guitars, But
nice.
Same level of aggression. But that's probably all I'm going to say about the game for now. Like the guns and weapons I think are good. Like my friend tells me smart weapons, you can basically shoot around corners and things like that. But
oh yeah,
I'm mainly concentrating on melee, which has been fairly effective so far.
Nice.
They do give you the option to not kill people. As far as I can tell, I don't know that there's any like story payoff for not killing people.
Oh, sure. Or you don't get more XP because you tranked someone.
Yeah, well, it's like you walk up behind someone and grab them, and it says you can knock them out or you can kill them. Most of the time I knock them out, but like, for instance, on that side mission that was 8mm made Strange Days, I killed all those people.
Right.
They had passed the point. I'm normally very pro rehabilitate and forgive.
Right.
They had passed the
Not
point.
those guys.
They are they are just shy of a Serbian film,
Right.
Anyway, So that's Cyberpunk. I'm enjoying it. I like it. I don't love it. I don't know if I'm going to love it or not. But I'm gonna keep playing it, and
Right.
I'm sure CD Projekt Red will unfortunately abuse their employees until it's a Witcher level of a game.
Right.
But I don't know. I really hope that they get. I mean, I know they did the paint bonus thing, but I hope they keep stuff like that going because they've already made their 8-year budget back off of selling as many copies.
Right,
as
in like
they
the
did.
first week or something. Like it was very quick. Yeah.
I really hope all those employees are making a lot of money.
Yep.
And the only other thing I've been playing is Epic 7. Which I kind of got distracted for a bit there and kind of just grinded for a couple weeks and then pushed the story a little bit further. I got to one of the battles with Mort, who is kicking the crap out of me.
Oh, Mort. Yeah. Did you see his event?
I did. I pulled on him too and went ahead and got him, even though it looks like people didn't really like him online much. But
he's good. He's comparable to Alencia. I think you had already missed out on Alencia.
Yeah,
just very tanky damage dealer. Basically, he's very tanky. He can take out what he dishes. So.
Well, that's good. It's like I've leveled him up a bit, but I haven't messed with most of it. Like right now, I'm kind of. Who am I putting my resources into? Oh, Euphine.
Yeah. Ooh, Euphine's really good. She's So I guess this is going to go a little into the weeds of stuff of Epic 7, but Euphine is kind of the opposite of Mort, where Mort is very tanky but also deals out damage. You'll find that more people are into a damage dealer that's a glass cannon and can just drop the damage really hard and fast, but she's pretty fragile, honestly. So she gets, she takes a hit from something, she might just go out. But if you're fighting against anything that is buffing itself, Euphine just does not care about those buffs and will rip their buffs and do more damage because they're buffed. So.
Oh wow.
And she's who I'm trying to use against the current version of Mort I'm on. I can't remember if it's the first time I fought him or not, but it's the point in the story. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. Like, at some point Ross is going to have to fight Mort. And I think it's the first time that they are fighting. And he basically buffs himself almost every turn. He increases his speed every time you hit him.
Oh, jeez.
And he debilitates your team like every other turn or something like that.
Jeez.
So, like, I've been experimenting with different lineups, but I don't know. I got my butt kicked. And I looked online to see what everyone was using. And they were all recommending Dizzy. They said, "Oh yeah, Dizzy makes this super easy," and I don't have Dizzy.
Oh right.
Dizzy was the Guilty Gear collab from a while ago.
Yeah, if they ran it again, I missed that time.
Yes, there was a second.
Yeah, so that's probably it for my chances of getting one of those.
You never know; they might do a third collab. They seem to have enjoyed the first two runs at least.
I need to save up my pulls again anyway. I went a little crazy over. I haven't spent any money, but like I've just started like pulling on Fairy Tale Tenebra or whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm. Alice in Wonderland version of Tenebra.
Yeah. Normally I don't pull unless I know I have enough to do the full like 121.
Yeah.
And this time I did not. So I basically just wasted a bunch of pulls. But that's okay. I've accepted my losses. I'm moving on. I just have to figure out how to beat what's his name. But yeah, right now I think I'm using. I think last time I tried him, I used Euphine. I used. Oh no, I'm gonna forget everyone. Gosh, I had another person who would dispel buffs, and what I found was, like, I could dispel buffs, like one round, and then the second round, and then the third round, I was kind of just at his mercy. which was enough for him to overtake me. But I don't know. I'll get there one of these days. So I'm still enjoying that. I still don't know how much time I'll put into it after I get past that third storyline. But I still really enjoyed the writing in that game a lot.
There was a 5-star. They just you got a 5-star ticket, didn't you, for logging in every day or whatever it was?
I did.
Do you remember what
I
you
got the vampire kid that has bubblegum.
Oh, haste.
Yeah.
Haste, yes. He does bleed damage, and he can also prevent things from healing it themselves.
That's like I have a lot of good characters. I just I have like 4 or 5 plus 15 characters, and then maybe 10 6-stars, something like that, maybe a little less. And everyone else is pretty far below that.
Right.
But anywho, that's all I got. So,
all right, Mina, what do you have for this past month?
Well, let's see. I was gifted an early Christmas present of Yakuza Like a Dragon on the 22nd. And I have 42 hours played so far. And I haven't played the last 2 days because I've been busy with other things. So you do the math on how much I like this game.
Right.
And that's active hours. None of that is idle time. I played literally that much of Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, man.
I love this game. And I am probably, I think, out of all 3 of us, I'm the one who has the least Yakuza hours put in. I think I've put in like maybe 2 hours into Yakuza 0, and that's all I have for the series. So
okay.
I think I'm the least familiar.
Right.
I love this game. And for those of you who also never played a Yakuza game, I believe the other ones, correct me if I'm wrong, the other ones are more beat 'em ups.
Yeah, they're like action brawler RPGs.
Okay. This is not. This is straight up. This is RPG only. This is turn-based menus.
Using items. Calling in summons.
my favorite thing is if you've ever played Super Mario RPG or the South Park was it the Stick of Truth or whatever?
Stick of Truth, yeah.
Yeah, there's also that perfect blocking mechanic where if you press a button, you block damage, but you have to kind of press it multiple times if the thing you're fighting has multiple hits.
Oh, okay.
So similar to what Musin's parental disclaimer about Cyberpunk, that needs to go down for Yakuza as well. But I mean, it's charming in its humor. It's funny. I've laughed a lot. I clearly enjoy it a lot. Mm-hmm. But without a doubt, I thought about originally doing a Let's Play, and then I realized, God, I'd have to bleep out so many things. I'd have to blur out things. I'd have to. Right. It's just like, this ain't worth it. I'm just gonna play the game. Like, I don't want to do all that. YouTube would just demonetize me. Well, not even demonetize me. I'd probably get hit with kinds of stuff, and I'd be like, I don't want to have to deal with all that. So I was just like, I'll just play it. I mean, it's so good. And so I know some people were telling me like, oh, only play it with the Japanese dub or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna play with the English dub. I want to see what it's like. This is like the whole Persona 5 cast is in this. I'm like 90. If they're not voicing a main character, they're voicing the random like I can hear their voices. I'm like, I hear your voice. You cannot fool me.
Right.
Random NPC. Without a doubt, I was hearing them all.
Nice.
And then I also found Naoto Shirogane's voice actress was voicing this character. I knew right away. I was like, you're Naoto.
Right.
I hear it. But it's so good. And and one of the best voice actors, of course, is George Takei, and his character is outstanding. His voice acting is incredible, as you would assume.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was in the game.
Oh, he's in the game. He's in the game. He does a great voice. The main character, Ichiban's voice, he is voiced by, if you guys remember the character from the arms dealer in Persona 5, that Persona route, that's the main character's voice actor.
Ooh, nice.
The game has a pretty lengthy intro tutorial thing, story build up. It's kind of like when you go into like when you go into like Persona 4 or whatever, you think to yourself like, all right, I'm not going to be getting to do I'm not going to get to do like the game for a little bit, because the game's got to do a story setup.
Yeah, first couple hours is going to be real slow.
Right. It's real slow. I would say like you don't even like, if I were anyone playing this game, you need to wait until you get your third party member before the game is like, we're going to start removing some of these training wheels and you're going to actually have the world to yourself. And then it opens up.
That's pretty common for some of the other games too, where it's like, we're going to have, you have this intro mission and I need you to walk from point A to point B, but kind of like all the streets on the way are blocked off. So you have one pathway to walk down. Like, we're really teaching the tutorial how to move through the world right now.
Right.
And I think I get the sense that it's sort of magnified with this because it's a brand new main character, so it's giving his story, like the beginning of his story in this game too. So you sort of have both things going on.
This game is really good, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it.
I like, if I were having to rate, like, okay, what is the best RPG of 2020, and I would like, be quiet, cat. if I were to have to like, hand out an award for it, and like, this one would have to be in the running for me. Like,
right.
It is a well-made, well-crafted, well-voiced. The music is really good. And once the world opens up, it really starts to open up.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is really good. Sometimes I thought I saw where the story was going, and sometimes I didn't. It caught me off guard a couple of times in a good way. Like, I was very pleasantly surprised. It's really good, and you could tell that someone was really good at writing the story behind the scenes, because they like, there's so many threads being connected.
Right.
And if you're afraid of like not knowing about the other Yakuza games and then not being able to get into this one, I'm a prime example of somebody who knows nothing of the other Yakuza games, and I'm having the best time with this game.
I sort of get the sense that it's almost like in Persona 4, where they reference Persona 3 every once in a while, but like if you don't know who those characters are, they only show up for like 2 voice lines and then they leave. So it's like, oh, I don't know who that was. Anyway, there's no real, you don't need to know anything.
Yeah, I think there have been some references to characters, maybe.
Sure.
I don't want to say what, because I'm scared of spoiling something, but there's definitely a character that I believe, based on the dialogue I was having, that he must have had taken place in an earlier part of the series, because they were making a lot of references to things.
Oh, okay.
And I was just kind of like, well, you're probably somebody from something, but I don't know you.
Very important.
Yeah. I really liked the attention to some of the detail. Like, of course, most of the voice actors are not Asian, but the one Korean character they introduce at some point, well, there's a couple, but there's the one in particular, he is very clearly voiced by a Korean man, and
cool.
He says words in a way that a Korean person would. That's not so out of the realm of understanding, where you just can't understand what he's saying, but there's like specific words that he says that I'm like, yeah, you have the Korean accent right there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there was like some detail given to that. Gosh, the game's funny in a Saints Row kind of way. Funny to me, where it's like it's got that bad, dirty humor, but it's hilarious. It's done in like with an Asian flair to a Saints Row universe,
Right.
which
and
I guess
some
is
of the
appropriate.
side quests get real weird. Like the main
Oh
story
my
is
God.
always so serious and so well done and like so dramatic, and then the side quests are just like, let's dress up as a chicken mascot and sell fried
Right?
chicken. It's just like, wait, what?
There's a side quest called the Sujimon decks where you have to it's basically like the people you fight in the game, you're collecting data on them, and then like for the Sujimon
That's really good.
so good.
Man.
Oh my God. And like I won't the game's not hard at all to me. I know like they don't unlock harder difficulties. You have to play through normal. I've heard that New Game Plus you unlock harder difficulties, and the game goes up to like each character's class can go up to level 99, and each character has like 6 classes that they can switch to. So like I'm already like I can't even imagine getting that. I'm like at level 22, and I feel like I've got to be like halfway through the game, and I can't even get one job to level 99. It seems way too high. So I imagine that a lot of that stuff is New Game Plus, like
yeah,
because the things I'm fighting, there's no way they're gonna give me enough XP unless I grinded forever, which that's not fun. So,
right.
but the pace of the game is pretty good. I kept finding myself moving towards doing the main story before I should, which was still fine because like there's so many items and stuff in the game that you could just chow down on. The side quest, like you said, just absolute nonsense, hilarious.
Just bonkers.
It's nonsense. Oh, and you also get summons in this game.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my gosh, you get like and I don't, I can't even. I don't want to say it. Like there's a lot of wordplay going on in this stuff that I can't do. But it's great. Oh my gosh, the summons are ridiculous, and you get summons from doing side quests. So if you're ever like, I want more summons, side quests.
Right.
There is a I guess an optional party member you can get, which I can't imagine people would pass up this optional party member, but there is an optional one. I guess this game does have like romances as well, but there's not emphasis on it like other games. It's pretty easily done, and it doesn't seem to have like real ramifications to anything. There's 3 options that are basically akin to NPCs, and then the other 2 are party members, and they all basically require a different stat of yours, a different like social stat or whatever, maxed out to 10, combined with giving them a gift or something like that. I don't remember.
Okay.
So it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, this game is a lot of fun, and like I said, I got it on the 22nd. I'm already on chapter 12 or 13. I don't remember. I think there's like 15, 16 chapters or something.
Right.
I have been burning this game. It'll be done by next PUP for sure.
Yeah, and then you can start doing all the optional stuff.
Yay! I'm excited because this is the kind of like sometimes side quests just feel kind of like, go fetch this, go do that.
Go
and
get the
believe
6
me,
boar skins.
Right. There is sort of a thing like that. It's called the part-time hero, which is its own side quest to do the part-time hero. But like then they have like a bunch of those fetch these, do whatever. But they're not treated the same way as like actual side quests. Those are just like you run into it and you do it.
Yeah.
There's so many mini games in this game too.
Yep.
So many. They like crammed in Virtua Fighter 2 and like or something like it, and like there's a Mario Kart game in this. There's golfing, baseball, just mini game after mini game after mini game, just like hanging around. Karaoke. There's a crane game that I have spent way too much time doing. And there's a business management game in this where you basically buy up properties and then you do shareholder meetings.
Back. Oh, I love that in Yakuza 0.
Oh, was it in there?
Yeah, I'm glad that's back. That's so much fun.
You make a ton of money from that. That's honestly that's honestly how I make all my money in this game, was do that, then you can have infinite money basically. Money is never a problem. There's kind of like a like outside of the Mario Kart game, Phoenix, be quiet. Outside of the Mario Kart minigame, there's just kind of like a regular like racing collecting game. There's so much in this game, and it is really good. It has its problems for sure. Like I could nail it for certain things that are not great, but honestly, because I was having so much fun, I kind of let those things slide a little bit. Little things like there was this one dungeon that was ridiculously long. Like I felt like I was in there for like 30 minutes, and I was like, what is this dungeon? Like, it's like this is like one of those Final Fantasy dungeons where you're just like, where is the end?
Right. Am I lost?
But like there was that sort of thing where it just went on needlessly long. There's some boss fights that felt kind of ridiculous, but then again, like maybe it was because I wasn't fighting that much. Like I don't know how much of the problem was on me. I was definitely pushing the story harder initially because I really wanted to get more information. Because the story is really good.
Yeah.
So this game gets like my highest recommendation. This is like, obviously this is not for kids.
Yeah, and it's very M-rated. Like
and it's probably not as bad as like this is not like a there's no naughty stuff in the sense, but there's a lot of more. There's implied all over the place, and there's it's implied mostly. And like for example, I don't think the main character ever kills anyone, like ever. So like he just beats people up and knocks them out basically, and makes them, see his way of things instead of just like killing is wrong, and he's a Yakuza. Just
right.
So I'm just. He is wild, and boy does this game really, really like to talk about Dragon Quest.
Yes. They're all so obsessed with Dragon Quest. It's the funniest thing.
Are they all with that?
In Yakuza 0, there is a side quest to recover someone's day one copy of Dragon Quest 3, because it's set in the 80s, and it's like, it's not even like Dragon Warriors, like Dragon Story 3 just came out today, and it's like, okay, I get, and it's even like the premier Japanese RPG about it's this company, and it's like really close to Enix's name. It'll be like MX. It's just like, okay, I get it's Dragon Quest 3. All right, I get it.
They really talk about Dragon Quest like constantly throughout this game. It's like funny. You almost have to be like, like, did they pay?
Wait, do you want me to pick up Dragon Quest 11? Like, what do you? That game's great. Like, I'll play it again.
It's funny. The main character, he wants to be a hero like in Dragon Quest. He wants to be.
That's awesome.
The hero of Dragon Quest. He's just constantly like, I want to be like the character from Dragon Quest. I'm going to be the great hero. I'm going to save the world. I'm the hero.
That's great.
and it manifests in this story in just such a way that I had the greatest time. I had the greatest time with this game, and I assume I'm going to beat it by next podcast. And while I will never tell anybody the ending, I'm sure I'm gonna love it because they've set up all the pieces so nicely that this can only end in an amazing way. I really hope that this game sells really well. I hope they continue making an RPG version of the Yakuza series. Like they can still keep doing the other form, the action beat 'em up sort of way, but I really hope they keep this one going.
Yeah, I'd like that the development team is just like, look, we made like 7 beat 'em up RPGs. Like, they're good, but we kind of wanted to try something different, so we wanted to try this turn-based RPG thing. And if you guys don't like it, then let us know and we'll do something different. But if you guys like it, then cool. And so far, it seems from reviews and sales, it's been doing really, really well. And I hope they continue down this path. At the very least, to just try something new and try something different. And, you know, maybe next time it'll be a strategy RPG, you know? Little something different.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that it's selling well because I'm already in love with this game in a way that I was like I think I found a new game to love.
Right.
Which I haven't found something like this in a long time. Right. So I played a couple other things, but I'll be honest, nothing crazy to really talk about. So we'll just go ahead and go into what have you been playing, Boston?
Oh, nothing. So like, the majority of December was like this sprint of recording like 4 times as much as I usually do to get the 2-week break that we get for the holidays. And then as soon as I finished all that stuff, I was just like, man, I'm tired. I don't really want to play anything. So I kind of didn't. I didn't play a whole lot, and what I did play wasn't really any RPGs because I want to play Like a Dragon, but it's not out on PS5 yet. It doesn't come out until March. So I'm sort of like, well, I don't want to. I could play it on my Series X, but like that's not where I've been playing them, and like I don't want to get the PS4 version because the PS5 version will run better, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was the only one I was really looking forward to, and I like we talked about last month with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not as much of an RPG as I was expecting it to be, and I started playing Immortals Phoenix Rising. Whatever that title is for Ubisoft's Breath of the Wild thing, also not as much of an RPG as I was expecting. So that's fine. So unfortunately, I can't talk about that because that's not really an RPG. But let's go into RPG releases for January 2021. Starting off here with Atelier Ryza 2, Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy, coming out for PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC on the 26th. I played a bunch of the first one. I really liked it. That was my first Atelier game. And this one looks really good. I should go back and finish that first one at some point because I was enjoying that quite a bit. Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny comes out for Switch and PS4 on the 28th. This one doesn't really seem to change up the format at all, so I feel like you kind of know what you're getting into at this point. I think this one has 3D models for everybody. I think that's kind of its big thing. But otherwise, it's a Disgaea game, so you know whether or not you're into that at this point. The Yakuza Remastered Collection comes out for Xbox One and PC on the 28th. This is the remasters of 3, 4, and 5, so essentially they took the PS3 version, brought it to 1080p, 60 frames, and then kind of released them. So they're not like Kiwami 1 and 2, they're not like 0, they're not totally redone, just kind of scoop them up sort of frame rate and resolution wise. So all 3, 4, and 5 will all be sold separately too. And I think they might be on Game Pass as well, but don't quote me on that. Outriders is coming out for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X on February 2nd. This is People Can Fly's. People are calling it like a Destiny-like, but that's not really. It's this single-player, offline, kind of power and skill-based RPG shooter, throwing power and fireballs sort of thing. I've been following this for a while. It looks pretty cool, but I like People Can Fly a lot, so I'm hoping this reviews well, or at the very least is received pretty well. So something I'm going to keep my eye on, because it seems like it could be kind of neat. And last but not least, Ys 9 Monstrum Nox comes out on PS4 on February 2nd. Let's move into news stories. Atlas announced that they have big plans for Persona's 25th anniversary. They also did a tiny little update here on SMT5's development. It says it's still going well, but no real news to talk about anything specific. It's just like, hey, we're still working on SMT5. It's still going really well. They didn't say anything specifically for 2021, which is going to be Persona's 25th anniversary, which is crazy to think about. But we were sort of talking a little bit here at the beginning of the show about what we think that Atlas might have for the anniversary. I think we all kind of agreed that Persona 6 is probably off the table until SMT5 is out.
Yeah.
It seems
And
like they
a
wouldn't
lot
put...
of the
Go ahead.
a lot of the staff for Persona 5 got shifted over to Project Re Fantasy.
Right.
So I wouldn't imagine that they've got anything done for Persona 6. If they have, it's just basically tossing the idea of what are we doing around.
Right.
I can't imagine they're working on it at all.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that I feel like, at the very least, I would like would be a PC port for Persona 5 Royal, especially with Strikers coming out and being a direct sequel to 5. And with Strikers coming out on PC, it's sort of like, well, I hope you played the first one on another platform, because you're going to be real confused about, hey, everyone's back in town. It's like, wait, who are all of these? Why are there like 12 people here?
Yeah.
I think they need to just do all the Persona games they've redone over the years and put them on Steam. Like they have those PSP games that I really want to go back to those some days. It bothers me that I played most of Persona 1 and didn't finish it through. And Persona 2 seemed like it had a lot of really cool ideas in it, even if it took too long in the battle system. But
right.
And we never got that Eternal Punishment remake over here.
Right. Yeah, it'd be great to see all those. I mean, at a minimum, it'd be nice to see 3 and 5 Royal at least come out, because then you'll have like 3, 4, and 5 kind of the modern Persona games. I would also like to see all of them at the very least, to give people the option of, here, you can go play all of these Persona games, instead of like, well, they're available on the PSP, and you can kind of play them on the Vita or a PS3. Do you have either one of those? And everyone's like, no. I don't even have either one of those.
I honestly think that's the best bet on like what they'll announce, unless it's way out of left field, because Arc System Works cannot handle another Persona fighting game at this time. And
because they're still busy on Guilty Gear Strive.
And also, they're definitely working on the next Dragon Ball. 100% they're working on the next.
100%, yeah.
They've made so much money from that. That's
let's do another one of those.
Let's do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other than that, I'm not entirely sure. I feel like, since this is so Persona focused, I don't think we'd see anything about any of the SMT games getting ported to anything else. I feel like we probably wouldn't. On an SMT anniversary, you might be able to see those potentially as a collection come over to Switch. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure what other Persona stuff would be eligible.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. My dream Persona release that will never ever happen or anything, but would be if they made a single game that was a sequel to 3, 4, and 5. It just had like select characters from each as like college students or adults.
Right.
Or both, really. Like you could have Persona 3 as adults, Persona 4 as college.
Right. Persona Q3.
That's why I loved Persona 2, was because you had that cast that was basically all adults. You had the journalist, the physical trainer, the police officer, and it was basically a team of adults. And the main protagonist was female. And that game is probably not remembered by a lot of people. Had the greatest final boss, which I will never spoil, even though it's an old game, because that just deserves the surprise you have on your face, because it makes sense in the world of Persona 2. But
right. Next news story here is that Unsung Story will finally be launching in early access. If anyone doesn't remember what Unsung Story is, it makes sense. Because it was a successful Kickstarter game back this time in 2014. This was the big thing where they were taking the Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story developer Yasumi Matsuno and saying, like, we're going to make a new kind of Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, we're going to make a turn-based, grid-based strategy RPG. And it did super well, made $660,000, and then disappeared. Like, really very quickly vanished. After a while, I think it was Little Orbit, was a publisher. They finally scooped up the rights to this after this long falling out happened, and then they're sort of financing across the finish line to early access. So it seems like it's still kind of a ways off after that. They're talking about maybe about a year and a half after it enters early access, which isn't unreasonable, but I mostly want to talk about it because I think that game looks super cool, and I'm glad that it's kind of continuing to get developed and continuing to make progress even after drama, Kickstarter drama. And last news story here, a couple of RPG announcements here. The Game Awards 2020 that happened here last month in December. BioWare showed off a cinematic teaser for Dragon Age 4, continuing to not learn their lesson about showing stuff off too early. There doesn't seem to be a lot about Dragon Age other than, yes, we're still working on it, which is fine. I believe you. Continuing that trend, they also showed off a super short teaser for the next Mass Effect something. I think it was said like Mass Effect will continue. So cool.
Evidently it's going to be a direct sequel to 3 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that looks very much like it's in the original trilogy's storyline continuity. Try not to use the word universe because that's an easy joke. But that whole thing. Yeah, BioWare, you gotta stop doing this. We know you're working on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Those are like your two franchises right now, so we can sort of figure that out.
Yeah. Just get your studio stuff straightened up and back to us. We'll be here.
Yeah, exactly. Disco Elysium is finally getting an update for consoles. This was when the game came out on PC. They're like, yeah, of course we're coming out on consoles. Don't worry about it. But we're going to do it in-house, so it might take us a little while. They announced a Final Cut update, which is coming to PS4 and PS5 in March, and other consoles, including Switch, in May. The reason why this took a while is because it has full voice acting, which is... Wow. Interesting and kind of not what I was expecting out of that game. That sort of it always seemed like one of those traditional kind of isometric PC games where it's like, yeah, of course we don't have voice acting. There's like 40 bajillion words in this game. Like, we're not gonna voice act all this. And then whoops, they sure are. So that's coming out in March and May respectively. And last one here, Ruined King was announced. This is a new turn-based RPG in the League of Legends universe. Riot Games has been essentially contracting all these different companies, like, you're going to make a first-person shooter, and you're going to make an RPG, and you're going to make a tactics game, all in the League universe. And this one is being made by Airship Syndicate, which is the team that made Battle Chasers Night War, which means I am super excited about it, because that game was really good. And like 20 hours. So if anyone wants to go play it, not super long. But it looks like exactly the same battle system, exactly the same art style, which is really, really exciting. But that was really it. Usually these shows are not RPG focused, because those are kind of not the big names and kind of not the big trailers. They showed off some other stuff like, hey, Dragon Quest XI is out, and stuff that's already been out. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, hey, that's still out, you should go play that. But that's stuff we've already talked about on the show. And that's all of our news stories. So that's our episode for this month. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page, including patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes, early access, exclusive audio over there. The best tier is the $5 a month tier. It's only a month, not per episode. So it is pretty cheap, and you get a lot of great stuff. And Musim, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find the hub of all my audio endeavors at jbaudio.net. I think I missed it last time because I missed last cast, but I released a new album. What did I do? I remastered my first album, which
an HD remake.
Yes, which is to say, the first album was never mastered in the first place because I had no idea what it was doing. But so I buttoned up a lot of those tracks and threw in a bunch of B-sides and stuff. So there's like an 18-track album now for Stories Remastered that you can find on iTunes and Amazon and Spotify and all that.
Go buy it on Bandcamp. It supports artists.
Oh, yes, do that. Yeah. I get more money from them.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And Mina, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv at Mina KO Rocket, or on YouTube under the same name. And Boston?
You can find all my shows at e1m1.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and our adventure continues next month.
Bye.
Bye.
And thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us on the live stream. See you next time. Bye.